Yo, 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 yo. What's up, everyone? Your boy Antoine is back. Sorry, I missed y'all last week. I had some technical difficulties with the Wi Fi in the building. But we back, though, for episode 85 of most definitely episode 85 of the Uncommon Commentators. Thank y'all so much for joining us. Always appreciate y'all spending your time with me and my boy Garrett. How you been, man? I know you've been a busy man yourself with your writing stuff and also your other job as well. So how's your week been so far as we hit this Thursday night?
Yeah, man. A lot's been going on, Glad the NBA season, has started. So it's been pretty good. Still good, a lot of basketball. Of course, we'll get into other stuff later, but yeah, it's been a very productive week, man. So how's your week been going?
It's been good, man. Just working the side hustle, like I was saying before we went on air, and really
Hmm.
just been writing for real, like writing a lot. Just put out a piece a couple days ago about Quinn Schneider's job security. I just think
Hmm.
that's a really big elephant in the room that we definitely have to address.
Yep.
We were gonna kind of get to that actually in our first topic. But yeah, nah, man, I've been good though. I've been good. Like I did want to give my reaction to the NBA betting stuff before we get into it. That doesn't gotta be long, but I did want to say like that shit was fucking crazy. I couldn't believe it when I woke up and I saw Chauncey Billups. His name came across my screen for the whole like from Shamsharania. I thought it was a joke when Terry Rozier got arrested. I kind of wasn't surprised because he had been arrested back in 2023 originally for that first probe that the NBA did, not the FBI. So when Terry got scooped up, it was like, okay, word. So something's definitely going on again. He got, that he got snatched. You feel me? But when they said Chauncey was snatched at 6 o'clock in the morning, I couldn't fucking believe it. I'm like, nah, there's something going on for sure. This being a head coach, Chauncey's only showed a noble character filled with integrity. He seems to have only established a paragonic standard in that Portland Trail Blazers locker room. So to see this type of debacle transpire, it truly it's fascinating. I'll say to say the least. But I just wanted to give my 2 cents on that. I thought it was crazy. The mafia is involved, so I think this is gonna get way more serious than people could ever imagine. I do think it's one of the big scandals in NBA history, even though it still has some recency on it. I still think it's one of the biggest scandals, most definitely of all time. 34 people were arrested. Of course, Damon Jones was also snatched as well by the boys in blue. So, and not even the boys in blue. This is federal. These are the feds. This is FBI. So, the fact this is actually getting this serious and like Chauncey bailed out. I think Terry bailed out as well. I think I saw that he's still gonna get that $26 million from the Miami Heat because I saw that contract was guaranteed. And that made a lot of people upset. But it's crazy, man. Like to see that whole thing happen. Like Terry might have been point shaving, hitting unders on his injuries and getting lucrative payments off of that. And then Chauncey with the whole, like I said, had X-ray goggles and like a whole X-ray table where you could see what's like the cards from under the table and like read them upside down and shit like that. Just like all the countermeasures they were putting in place to make sure that they would succeed. It's just extremely criminal, 1000%. The dudes, the guy, you're getting invited to play a game with Chauncey Billups, and like there's literally 0% chance that you're gonna win. So that was
Yep.
crazy to see. Mafia people reacted to it, like Michael Franzesi, he's super popular. If you watch him on YouTube, he reacted to it. Like it was truly insane. I know the boy Bryce Lewis was here to talk about that. It's unfortunate I missed him. It was a cool dude, most definitely. But do you have any last words on that scandal before we move forward, Garrett? I know it was pretty crazy at the time when it happened.
No, not really. Like I said in the previous episode, there's a lot going on. Yeah, it was shocking news to hear Chauncey Billups be involved in it. But like I said, I think it's unfortunate, and you don't really expect um, this much action to take place. We've, seen it before, not just in the NBA, but in the NFL as well, other professional leagues, professional sports, and like I said, it's shocking to see Chauncey, Bill as a head coach to be involved in things of that kind of thing. But like I said, it's still early, so we won't know as far as what kind of consequences or punishment they will receive. We have a good idea of what that would be, but like I said, there's still a lot to uncover. But like I said, all I can say is very unfortunate, and I hope they all learn from this and move forward.
Mhm. The last thing I will ask you before we move on to our original topics, of course, if even if Chauncey Billups beats the case, do you think he'll still be fired from the Portland Trailblazers?
Uh, I mean, who knows? I mean, that's up to the Blazers organization and what they, feel like was best for them. I think that they could, worst case scenario is, suspend them, just for being involved in this kind of stuff. Period, just for his name to be out there. But like I
Mhm.
said, there's still a lot to uncover. But if he beats his case, then I hope that he would keep his job. But like I said, in terms of any kind of punishment, if he's able to return, then like I said, I think he would serve some sort of suspension, and that'd probably be it.
Because Chauncey had just signed an extension to continue being their head coach as well. So we'll
Yep.
see what happens, you know. But moving on to our original topics, most definitely. I mentioned it prior before we got into the betting stuff, but the Atlanta Hawks have been struggling very, very badly to start the NBA season. We start out with them because obviously they made a lot of moves over the offseason. A lot of people thought they'd come out the gate red hot, considering they would face the Toronto Raptors and the Chicago Bulls and like in their games. They lost both of those games. You know, the Bulls, that was like a 5 point loss, with the Rap, that was a 20 point blowout. Um, Atlanta, you know, it's kind of hard to make innings first game when they lost to Toronto. They were fully healthy. They just got outplayed, blown out the State Farm Arena, period. You know, Trey has been struggling a little bit, most definitely first few games. He broke through though. The game prior to this game that they lost, unfortunately. He had 21 points and 17. And it still wasn't enough to get the victory, unfortunately. And now with the Atlanta Hawks, they got a win over the Brooklyn Nets last night, who they're 0-4. Let's be honest, and they had to most definitely win that game. But the biggest thing coming out of that was an injury to Trey Young's right knee. Unfortunately, it was an inadvertent contact to Mohamed Gay. Mohamed Gay fell into his knee, and you could tell Trey was in a lot of pain the moment Mohamed fell onto him. Most definitely. I will say this, I'm not a doctor or nothing like that, but Trey, the fact he was able to even like court just a little bit, jog just a bit, even still move around, I don't think it was that bad. I just think he was very, very fresh, and I think it was just going to cause a lot of discomfort if he continued to play. And then that was an opponent take without Trey, most definitely. So like, yeah, the Hawks, they're about 2-3 right now in their first 5 games. They play the Indiana Pacers tomorrow to begin the NBA Cup. But yeah, man, like just to begin out, those two losses to the Bulls and the Raptors, that put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. A lot of people didn't see that coming. You lose to Oklahoma City Thunder. It is what it is. They're the defending champions, but you could definitely say they should.
Well,
Ooh,
seem to be
cool.
having
I'm sorry
technical
about that. Yeah, my thing
difficulties.
started lagging. But yeah, continuing.
All right, Garrett. Since we having technical difficulties, what you got? What you got on the Hawks as far as their slow start, man?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not really too surprising for the start that they are right now. They're 2-3, and so I think it's really a mixture of things. Really, I think it's a mixture of guys just finding their way on the team, as I mentioned in previous times, with the addition of, Kristaps Porzingis and Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Luke Kennard, guys trying to figure out their roles and how they fit with the team. So, you have that. Then you also have, um, I guess the rotations have been an issue, I would say. I think it's just more so of just finding out what's working and really, Hawks fans that I've spoken to or interact with, a lot of people are saying that Zachary Shea, he's not really getting the ball as much as they would like to see him to, which I can agree to an extent. It seems like he's just out there just doing cardio, not really being involved in the offense. And he's still on a minutes restriction. He was on a minutes restriction during his rookie year last season, and it looks like that's still continuing right now. And also he's not hasn't been closing games either, and that's another thing that took place last season, and that's still continuing. So, and I think for the Hawks, they just haven't been able to really execute per se. During the Bulls, game, I remember when we had at the 11 or a 12-point lead, and the Hawks blew that. And I think in the fourth quarter, I believe they had a 6-point lead at one point, and then they lost that lead within less than 2 minutes, I believe. So I think it's just a level of not just being able to execute, and I think some guys have gotten lost, and most of the things. So I think for the Hawks, I think they will figure it out. I just hope it won't be too late, and hopefully that when we play against Indiana tomorrow, hopefully that will open opportunity for other guys to grow and get their their chance to get more reps in, with Zachary Shea, him being able to get more reps with Trey being out, because he will be out tomorrow's game, and we don't know how long he's going to be out, period, with this right knee sprain. But I'm just saying during his absence, that will allow, Zach and Dyson and other guys to be more involved to, help them get their game going. So, but it's a slow start, but like I said, 2-3 record, that's not too bad. So just hopefully that we'll be able to, pick things up.
Just real quick. I had somebody hit me up and told me to relay a message to y'all.
Mm.
Turn me the fuck up, Bulls! Turn me the fuck up! Turn me up!
Yeah, I know Jay is watching right now, and I know that he's looking at what I'm wearing. I got my Hawks, snapback and my chain. So, congratulations on the win, Jay. So enjoy while it lasts, because you're not gonna get it on the next one. So, like I said, I know he's happy and jumping up and down. So, but and a matter of fact, I think the Bulls are 4-0 or 4-1. So they also,
Undefeated.
really, really good start. So,
They
no
4-0.
shade
They
there.
4-0 right now.
Yeah, 4-0. Okay. Yeah. So can be mad at it, but like I said, enjoy while it lasts, my man.
Mhm. Yeah, man. I mean, I agree with everything you said. I think one of the biggest things too is the struggle of Dyson Daniels. I don't think it's being talked about enough. I
Yeah.
think the fact the Hawks are also struggling, that's a big part of it. He's a massive part of what they do on both ends of the floor, even on offense as well. With his backdoor cuts, his instincts, and he's getting better as a shooter. I really feel that way. So on defense, he's had a pretty hard time really imposing his will at the moment through these first 5 games. I think one of the games he had, I think, 3 steals. But compared to what he did last year, obviously people had a lot of expectations for him coming off that most improved player and that contract extension. And I think he's just still getting used to it. He's still getting his feet wet. He's a Hawk for real now. So I think he's just still, just getting used to know all these new players. It's like what Garrett said. It's a lot of new faces these people got to get used to. All these dudes that got play styles of their own strengths, their own weaknesses, and having to mesh with all these new rotations and lineups. Like it's hard, trying to find where you fit in all of those, like those new sets, and especially with all these new players, like I said. So I do think with Dyson, he is gonna catch fire at a certain point, probably like in the next week or so. I do think he will improve. If you go on Reddit and you see the Atlanta Hawks Reddit, people have been all over Dyson for whatever reason. I can't really tell you why they've had that much vitriol for Daniels and really like it's bad, man. Like they're shitting on him. They're acting like like I mean I don't want to say too bad words or whatever, but they're just being really harsh on Dyson. And again, I think he's way better than what he's done thus far, and he is gonna improve. Like how you said as well, Zachary rolled his ankle in that first game. He had 16 points. He was red hot
Hold up,
in that
hold up,
first game.
dog. Hold up. Say what you feel. Fuck all the bullshit. Say what you feel. If you gonna cuss these fans out, cuss them out. Shit.
Oh no, I mean, see, for me, like it wasn't even a matter of what I was saying. It's a matter of what, like, so the fans, like, I'm on Reddit and stuff like that, and the fans are going like, "Yo, Dyson fucking sucks. Like he's trash. He can't. He's dog shit. Can't guard
They say
nothing.
that as if he just didn't win fucking
Most improved player. You
yeah,
feel
most
me?
improved player, had the most steals, like pretty much kept Atlanta afloat.
I agree. I agree.
Just
And even
like
then, like,
we're 5 games into the season.
mhm.
Relax.
And that's the
Yeah.
thing too. People were like they're basketball fiends. Obviously, people waiting for basketball all year, and it's hard to you can't just pick up where you left off. Like it doesn't work like that when you have that long of a gap. Teams are gonna adjust to you. He's definitely a prevalent player, so teams are gonna get ready for Dyson Daniels and shit like that. So most definitely, I think he's gonna play way better. Jalen's already off to a great start. Jalen Johnson. He's already looking really good. It's just Trey, I do think he will at least be out probably 2 weeks, something like that. I think he got an MRI today. No update has came out just yet. I doubt he's gonna play tomorrow in the in-season tournament. So I will say this though, because it was pretty interesting. Even when he got hurt last night, I just kept saying like now we get to see like this Hawks depth, because they have a lot of players who can still handle the ball. Dyson Daniels was a literal point guard before he got to the Atlanta Hawks. So he can definitely run the one. We know Jalen can absolutely do the playmaking. Luke Kennard's a pretty good playmaker. And Nikhil Alexander Walker, his sophomore year at Virginia Tech, he played point guard. When his point guard got injured, I think Justin Robinson was his name, and he got injured. So we got definitely some playmakers. So we're not fucked completely. I don't think people can try to spin it that way. We have a lot of depth, and now people are going to see what it's like when we have, no quote unquote defensive liability in the starting lineup. You feel me? When it's a whole bunch of, we're starting off the game, dudes fucking 6'6", 6'7" at the one, you feel me, with length and defense shooting. So we're gonna see how this goes. Hopefully Trey's not out for hopefully it's not like he didn't tear anything or anything like that. Like I said, he was able to jog up the court a little bit, so he's not doing too bad. But I did want to ask you this though, because like I said, I published an article on it. I do think if this continues, Quinn Snyder will get fired. He's 87 and 102 across 2.5 years. Of course, just giving context in his defense, the Hawks have not had that good of rosters in that time. The whole Dejounte Murray era didn't go the way they planned it. He literally got hired in the middle of the season during the 2022-2023 year. So I'm gonna cut him some slack, but I'm saying if we hit like February and like the Hawks are like 25 and 27, I think 100% they would try to fire Quinn by the trade deadline. And I say that because there's also coaches like Michael Malone and Tom Thibodeau, one who's an NBA champion and the other who's a 2-time coach of the year. They're both just, Michael Malone's working the desk right now, and Tom Thibodeau is just chilling at home at 67 years old. So I mean, it's a lot of people that could definitely come in here and give the Hawks a new identity with this new roster moving forward as well, especially since all these players just sign all these new contracts. But closing out on the Hawks, what do you think is going to happen? Like, I guess this remainder in the first quarter of the season, what do you think is going to happen? Like these next 10 to 15 games?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even look at the schedule to see who we have in the next 10 games or so. But I mean, to your point, if the Hawks are not in a really good, not in a really good shape by by All-Star break or the trade deadline, then it wouldn't be surprising if the Hawks, relieve Quinn Snyder from his head coaching duties, because of the fact that whether if you want to call this team a championship contending team or not, this is a team that certainly has to make the playoffs. You know, there's no question about it. Um, you know, it's for me, for Quinn Snyder to keep his job, we have. It's not just about making the playoffs, but it's more so of, are we a top 5 seed? I think that's where this team has to be per se. I I don't think that this team can afford to go through another play-in. I don't
Nope.
think this team can afford to just go through the play-in and possibly miss the playoffs. I think in order for this team to show that this team has improved, you have to be a bona fide playoff team, and that's without having to go through the play-in. And so we've been a play-in team for, I don't know, 3, 4, consecutive years. So maybe even more longer than that though. But I'm just saying that in order for us to take that next step, we have to make the playoffs, and hopefully at that point we can make a deep playoff run. Hopefully that is a Eastern Conference Finals appearance, but like I said, the season just started, so I don't want to look down too, far down the road. But yeah, I think just with Quinn Snyder, I think he is a very good coach. But as I mentioned previously, his rotations have been concerning a little bit, to the point where we're not really playing, at the point where we're really, efficient. So not calling out any names, is just, there are some things where I would have done differently if I was a coach, for us to, win more games, or
Mhm.
or be able to be more consistent and holding on to leads when we do have them. So those are the type of things that concern me. But like I said, I'm hoping that, we can turn it around so that we can take that next step. So hopefully by All Star break, we're a top 4, at least top 5 seed team. But if it's where we're looking towards down being, between seventh and, I don't think we would be like a 10th or ninth seed. But if we're like, heading towards that 7th or 8th seed, then yeah, I think it would be time for the Hawks to close this chapter and open a new one. And like you mentioned, Mike Malone, he's an NBA champion, so I'm pretty sure he would be a name that would be on the list though. But I feel like that's a different discussion. So hopefully we can turn things around. I know it's not going to be easy for tomorrow, because Indiana, even though they're without Miles Turner and Tyrese Halliburton, those are guys that can still compete. And
Mhm.
of course, we have Cleveland after that, so it's not going to be easy. And with Trey being out, it doesn't help that at all. But like I said, hopefully that we can steer the ship, and hopefully we can win some more games. But to Wiley's point, there's only 5 games in, so there's nothing to panic about, at least just yet. So let's just all chill out and just see what happens within the
Mhm.
next at least 15 games, to see where we're at.
Right. Nah, man. And yo, I will close it out by saying this. Luka Doncic and LeBron James are both out for the Lakers right now. And Austin Reeves is playing the
Hey,
best.
shout out to Austin Reed, because I have him on my fantasy team. He had me up big time. So big shout out to
He's
Austin Reeves there.
for real. He's playing the best fucking basketball of his fucking life. 51 points on Sunday, 41 points on Monday, 28 points and 16 assists, and a game winner last night.
Crazy,
Man,
crazy work.
like, I get it. He's in the West. He has to worry about like Anthony Edwards, John Morant, Stephen Curry, Devin Book. It's so many fucking guards. But being on the Lakers and being a fan favorite, I 100% think he could definitely make an all-star game this year. Playing like that, being on a top seed, hell the fuck yes, he could certainly make an all-star. But if he's averaging like 20, 25, 24 around that time, man, they might not even, to Wiley's credit, they might not give LeBron that extension, man. They might just give all that money to Austin and just move on with the future. Because, like, I think, especially as he gets stronger, better on defense, they're gonna be one of the best one of the most dynamic backcourts in the league. No bullshit. But moving on though to our second topic, we wanted to discuss the first year players. Some other players who've been having some good performances for their teams, most definitely. But on a little bit of a smaller scale, Just wanted to discuss the rookies after their first 5 games in the NBA. Yeah, man, I think the Kia rookie ladder, that's really showing how good of a draft class this was. You really just give, doesn't even matter of a number, Garrett. Just any like random rookies you think have been playing good in your opinion. But obviously, we could start off with VJ Edgecombe. He's definitely stole the show, averaging 22 points with 6 rebounds and 6 assists a game, looking incredible. He had like 34 points in one of his first few games. And he's looking like one of the best backcourts right now alongside Tyrese Maxey. So I guess I'll go ahead and start with the most shining rookie right now. How do you feel about VJ Edgecombe right now? And do you think he can maintain this level of play throughout the entire season?
Yeah, I think VJ Edgecombe, I think he'll come in second place for the rookie of the year.
Ooh.
He's shown a lot of, athleticism, for his, ability to, block shots and, get to the rim and, draw fouls. And, he's a very good all around player. So I'm a big fan of his game. But he had a very big game. I think it was last week, where he dropped like 30 plus points, something like that. So just
Hmm.
his ability, just like I said, just to score, all around. He's not a one dimensional guy, so he knows how to, get his way to the basket and finish and get to free throw line. So all those things. So yeah, I think that he'll come in second place. I still think Cooper Flag will win the Rookie of the Year award, but like I said, I think it may come down to the wire, between him and BJ Edgecombe, because BJ Edgecombe, he's pleading his case. So and really the 76ers, they're looking, pretty good as well. So you have to give, some credit to BJ Edgecombe for that. So yeah, I think he's looking really good.
I'm seeing some people online going like, "What do you even do with Joel and Paul George?" Like, obviously, Joel is still very
Hmm.
much there. He's just battling some health problems and stuff like that. He's definitely getting
Yeah.
better than it was last season for certain in terms of his injuries. And I think for PG, he's a future Hall of Famer already. He can just chill in the back and help these guys develop. I think for Paul George, it's really about just winning a championship over everything else. Fuck being the guy. He's already been the guy on multiple teams. I think he just wants to sit back and relax and really like let the young guys eat, so he doesn't have to have that many wear and tear on his joints. He could just come in there with 17, 18 points a game at this stage in his career. And really just try to get a championship. Honestly, this is a very really stacked team on paper. They just got to remain healthy. VJ has added something to this roster 100%. They're about to get Jared McCain back as well. After he
Yeah.
was out for a pretty significant amount of time. So they're gonna be pretty fucking good. The Sixers, they got VJ only because like they had bad luck last year. They were never a bad team. So they set up their future while just saying fuck it, we'll kick our feet up for 1 year and get our future. Because Tyrese Maxey's only what, like 24? VJ, he's
Mhm.
still like 19 right now. So I mean, man, like I've been telling people this like off camera, like by 2030, I think, and I get it, that's 5 years from now. Obviously, by 2027, they're gonna be good. But I think by 2030, though, they'll be solidified as like wow, what? Because Tyrese is 6 years older, so um like 5 years older, something like that. So like while Tyrese is 30 and VJ is 25, already playing like this at 19, 20, they're going to be like literally, like I just said for the Lakers, one of the best backcourts, undoubtedly, maybe in the Eastern Conference, to be quite honest. It's crazy to say that because the Hawks are here, and I do think the Hawks are going to be really, really good. Trae Young and Dyson Daniels, especially an older Dyson Daniels as well. But I think undoubtedly the Sixers are going to have 100% one of the best backcourts in the league for sure. And moving on, one who I think is kind of surprise some people, but maybe not some sickos and shit like that. Cedric Coward of the Memphis Grizzlies. He's been playing great. He's number 2 on the Kia rookie ladder, averaging 16.5 points and 3.8 rebounds. He was the 11th pick in the draft. That's a redraft. He probably goes like pretty high, like probably 6 or 7. I think Ace Bailey still goes above him and stuff like that. But have you gotten to see Cedric Coward at all? And like, do you think he's a good player by chance? It's fine if you haven't gotten to see
Yeah,
him much.
Cedric, I haven't seen much of him this season, but I know in pre-draft, I know that he was a really good player. heading into the draft with his shooting ability, and
Mhm.
that's fully displaying during this time in Memphis right now. Uh, so I already know that he's been a really good player for them already. So yeah, he was kind of like a dark horse, like you say. I think if you were to do redo the draft, I think he will go higher. But like I said, I think he was kind of like an underdog in the draft. He didn't start picking up steam until we got closer to the draft. But
Good
like I
draft.
said,
Yeah.
with just his shooting ability, he's really been displaying that thus far. So he's been pretty good. So I think the Memphis Grizzlies, they definitely got a steal.
hmm And I guess we'll go ahead and skip to the dude who's number 4, which I'm kind of surprised he's this low. But of course, it's just the first week, which is the number 1 overall pick, Cooper Flag. He's averaging 13 points a game with 5 rebounds, 2.5 assists. He hurt his shoulder versus OKC on Monday, but prior to that, I know Cooper, he had a 22-point game and an 18-point game. So he's been playing pretty good, most definitely. Got to remember he is playing with Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson is healthy right now. AD is in the lineup, but of course he's still dealing with some stuff himself. And I think Cooper, he's been getting shots, he's, as you know, since his first game, he's gotten at least 13 shots a game, which is pretty good for a rookie, most definitely. Getting a double digit amount. And I think if he would have been hitting most of those shots, they would have let him take even more shots in those games. So I do think he is showing what he's supposed to. His worst game, like I said, it was against OKC. He shot 1 for 9 with 2 points, but his shoulder definitely gave him issues. And he went to the bench for the rest of the game. And I will say this, though. I guess the most substantial stat for me is the amount of minutes he's been playing. Cooper averaged 32 fucking minutes a game right now at 19 years old. The second youngest number 1 overall pick in NBA history. And to see him already taking on this kind of responsibility, it's pretty crazy, but he's dealing with it pretty well. His most recent game, literally yesterday, it was against the Pacers. He had 15 points and 10 rebounds, shooting 6 of 11. So I do think he is going to be a good player indeed. I guess I'll go back to what you said earlier. Like, do you think at a certain point, because like I said, he's averaging 13 and 6 right now, 13 and 5. Do you think he'll hit that next level and eventually like be that rookie of the year pick?
Yeah, I mean, I know that compared to him and VJ Edgecombe, I know VJ Edgecombe is averaging a little over 22 points per game right now, but
Mhm.
we'll see how all that balances out, towards the end of the year. But I think for Cooper Flag, I think he'll pick it up, later on in the season. But I think what he's doing thus far, I think he's going to be a very uh, key piece for the Mavericks this season. Of course, we know who the exceptions are with the likes of Kyrie Irving and AD and Klay Thompson and other key players. But I think
Mhm.
for Cooper Flag, just his ability to come in and provide that spark. And I'm not trying to jump the gun. We know that he's not Luka Doncic, but I think for the Dallas Mavericks, I think for Cooper Flag and his emergence and I think he'll be a very special player once he gets older. But I'm just saying, what he brings to the table now and what I think how he'll be able to pick things up later on in the season. I think he's going to help change things for the Mavericks. I've said before, I think they're going to be a top 5 seed in the Western Conference, and I think they can make a deep run into the playoffs with their defensive identity. And it's been very interesting to see him play at the point guard position, and
Right.
he has the capabilities to do so. I mean, he's 6'9", he can handle the ball like a point guard, and his athleticism has been very impressive. Being him to get to the rim through transition and being him to shoot and create off the dribble. I mean, it doesn't, for me, and who knows, I'm not a Mavs fan. I never spoken to any, Mavs fans about how they feel about the, Cooper Flag, as a, Maverick, but I'm pretty sure that, some people may feel like the Luka Doncic trade may not been as bad to them, but, like I said, that may be a different conversation, but I think just for Cooper Flag, just to be out there and play for the Mavericks, I think he's at least alleviated some of the disappointment and stuff. But no, he's been looking great out there, so I'm very happy for him. So I'm just excited to see him continue to play and get better. So Yeah, so yeah, I think he'll win Rookie of the Year. So, but like I said, we got ways to go before we get to that point.
Yeah, man, I think he's looked really good, honestly. He's a great two-way player. I love watching him in college. He lost in the Final Four to the Houston Cougars, who went on to lose to Florida after that. And I thought like throughout that tournament, he looked really good, man. Like throughout the whole year, he looked really good. Playing alongside two other lottery picks, he was dominating,
Hmm.
looking like that. So I do think he is gonna go on to be a star player. A lot of people believe that Lakers and Mavericks shit was rigged, seeing how like Luka got sent over there, and then the Mavericks get the number one overall pick in the draft and stuff
Hmm.
like that. But I don't know, like, and even then, like, I don't put anything past anything. Like seeing after this whole gambling shit with the scandal and all that, and how lucrative it is to have Luka and
Man, that shit was rigged. You ain't nobody finna sit here and tell me that shit wasn't rigged. Bring the ping pongs back. Bring the
Yeah,
ping
it's
pongs
it's
back.
definitely it's I will say it's definitely been I don't like to say the word rigged, but there have been there have been times where it's just like, man, this team
Mhm.
should have at least had a top 3 pick. I think it was uh yeah, it was last draft. I think for the Pistons, they had the worst record in the league, and they picked number 5. They had a fifth,
Like,
pick in
yeah,
the
to
draft.
Ron
So
Holland.
yeah, that's just crazy. But yeah.
Yeah, man, and like, and I feel what Wiley's saying on that shit, man. I mean, I think it's just like I said, man. It kind of like, cause I don't want it to fuck up my perception of like the game, and like I almost said knowing. I like thinking um that like this is like the history playing out in front of our eyes, like people gotta realize when these players come into the NBA, like the whole purpose of the entire shit is just to have fun basketball. Like these players can go. That's why it's literally called a draft lottery. These players can go to any team. It does not matter. They're just, they just get scooped up and that's it. They have no fight over that. It's just for in the commissioners, like the puppet master. You're just supposed to see all these ping pongs of good teams, good basketball every night. That's all it's supposed to be. And at the bottom of that machine, it's money coming out. And that's what the whole NBA is supposed to produce, just the money of it all. And that's why, like, when you do have players who care about being a Hall of Famer and, like doing all that stuff, like that's cool. Like, I love that shit, man. That want to, towards your retirement, that want to leave a legacy, that want to do that kind of stuff, like
Well, I
that's
do
what I,
want to say this too. It's been a good start so far with the Pelicans because they are 0-4.
oh, yeah,
We
for sure.
own their pick. So hopefully, and I know they're talking about firing Willie Green. So, they're kind of, ruining, everything right now. So I hope Willie Green, keeps his job at least just for the rest of the season. So that way, we can get a Darren Peterson or a Cam Boozer. So they're 0-4, and I know they play another tough team in the West. So hopefully they'll go 0-5. So even though we have our struggles here, but it's looking good on the other side. So
Mhm.
ain't no complaints. Ain't no
Nah, for
complaints.
sure. And like,
Hmm.
I guess I can close out this topic on that. It's kind of poetic how we're talking about the draft lottery. It's pretty cool, man. Like even being a Hawks fan right now, just putting
Hmm.
the cap on. You feel me? Like how my man Garrett is. We're like rocking it right now. It's like, man, even like the Hawks, we're 2-3 right now, right? Like that doesn't
Yeah.
mean shit. Like we're gonna fix that record. We're gonna get better and stuff like that. We'll
Hmm.
still be in the fucking lottery next year. Like every single mock draft I have
Yeah.
searched up.
Two draft picks actually. Gonna think.
For real, we do, don't we? So like
Yeah.
it's every mock draft I've seen, the Hawks are not past the third pick. They're not. It doesn't matter if
Hmm.
it's NBAdraft.net, if it's Tankathon. I mean CBS Sports. CBS Sports had us with the number one pick. That was back in the summertime, right? Like that was like their way too early 2026 mock. They already had us having that top pick. So
But
like,
at the end of the day, I mean, just to be honest to what Wiley said, I mean, it's kind of rigged in the draft. You can have a top 3 pick, but then you could end up getting 7th or
fucking
8th.
seven.
So, it's like no matter what, Tankathon, or any other sports media outlet says, until the day of the draft lottery, that's when you'll really know, where you're going to be at. So, you can't rely on those type of things, too much though. But, hopefully, that will come true. Hopefully we can get a top 3 pick. So that way we can get our franchise cornerstone, to add to this group. But like I said, that won't happen until next year. So that's a long way from here.
And the last thing I will ask you before we move on is say like the Hawks just get the number 2 overall pick, not even number 1, like it's number 2 overall pick. Say like
Mhm.
AJ DeBanza goes 1, and now you got Darren Peterson on the board, you got Cameron Boozer, Mikael Brown Jr., Koa Pete, all these players. Um, say like they were to draft Darren Peterson, who's a shooting guard. Say like they were to draft Cameron Boozer, who's a power forward. What do you think happens with the people in those positions? Like, what do you think? Like, I mean, like, who's our shooting guard right now? Dyson Daniels. Like, Dyson just signed a fucking extension. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, if we get Cameron Boozer, he's a power forward. Jalen Johnson just signed a 5-year deal. He's obviously a budding star. I don't think
Mhm.
Jalen can play 5. He's definitely a power. He could play 3, maybe. Like,
Mhm.
like, like, what do you think would happen? Like, what would you have to trade one of the people we just drafted? What we have to what? And obviously, we're gonna have to pay that top 3 rookie who's gonna be making star player money. So, like, what do
Mhm.
you think is gonna happen? These are champagne problems, but like, what do you think is gonna happen though if they draft that next superstar dude and like there's a
Mhm.
logjam at that position?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, even though that it brings a lot of questions, a lot of decisions that need to be made when you have a pick like this, a pick like that, a top 3 pick and as good of a draft this will be, it's still a good problem to have. So, that's never something that any, front office or any franchise will want to steer away. A good problem is always good. But I think if they were to, land a Darren Peterson or a Cam Boozer or whoever player that can come in and make an impact on his team right now, like I said, there's going to be a lot of questions that need to be had. I guess I just do want to remind people is that this is a new front office that we have that
Yep.
we reconstructed in the off season, but um, a lot of times we see front offices that when they come in and take over a franchise, they want to, do their own thing and build it in their own vision. So, could that? So if we were to get a player like Darren Peterson, does that mean that's the end of the Trey Young era? Not saying that is the case, but that is a legitimate question. If we were to get a Cam Boozer, um, does that mean a guy like Jalen Johnson or a Zachary Shea is out of here, or Kristaps Porzingis or Yika Kongwu? Who knows? But I'm just saying those are the conversations that will be had. I think that any of those guys are too good to come off of the bench. So,
Exactly.
like I said, I think like I said, it's a good problem to have, and who knows, we will have 2 first round picks in that draft. So, it could be where we could stand pat and draft 2 young guys to add to the group, or it could be where we could package both picks and move into a different direction to where we could trade for a star player or a
Superstar, right?
superstar. So all I'm simply saying is that honestly, Soleil, our general manager, he always used the word optionality. So there's it doesn't have to be a Darren Peterson or a Cam Boozer if we were to stand pat, because I pretty sure that he's all about putting his team in a position to win games. So whatever
Mhm.
that is, then he'll do that. But like I said, it'll be interesting, to see. But as I mentioned before, it's just a matter of will we get a top 3 pick anyway. So I know all this is hypotheticals, but if it does come to that point, then yeah, those are definitely questions that need to be had. So, but like I said, hopefully, we'll get a Cam Boozer or a Darren Peterson. I would love to have those guys,
Hell yeah.
on this team. So, like I said, those guys are, can come in and make a real impact on this team.
Off the
And
rip.
yeah, absolutely. So, that's very exciting. So just to have the thought that, we could potentially have, guys like that on the team. But, to say at least with the pick that we have, who knows what Ansi Saleh would do. He may move that pick to, for a significant upgrade on the roster. So it opens, multiple doors. So, and that's what, that's the kind of thing, that you want as a front office executive. So we'll see how it goes, throughout the season. So it's definitely
Mhm.
something to be excited for.
And the last thing I will ask you, give me a short answer if you want to. If we got the
Mm.
number one overall pick, would you want to draft AJ DeBansa, Cameron Boozer, or Darren Peterson, a small forward, a shooting guard, or a power forward?
Definitely AJ DeBanster. I think his ability. I think he has a Brandon Ingram and a Pascal Siakam type of game with just his athletic ability and his ability to score in the mid range. And I think even for the roster now, the way you look at it, we definitely need depth at the small forward position behind Zachary Richardson. But I think if we were to draft AJ, I think AJ would be the starter, and Zach would be coming off of the bench. No throwing shade on our forward, no one, number one overall pick though. But for AJ, I mean, I've been a fan for AJ, for a while, and just his, freakish athletic ability and how he's able to score and defend. That's something that this team, needs, just to have that other scorer. Of course, we have Trey and JJ and KP if he resigns with us. So just to have that other guy that can come in and be a offensive threat. But like I said, this is a very deep draft. So even if we don't get AJ, Darren Peterson, he would be a definitely great piece, and Cam Boozer. So, but for me, I'm hoping that we get AJ. But if we don't get AJ, then I'm hoping we get Darren Peterson. So those are my top two prospects. So hopefully it'll be AJ.
Mhm. Most definitely. Yeah, for me, um, and this is the last thing I'll say about before we move on to our last topic of the evening. I might take Boozer.
Mm-hmm.
I might take Boozer, man. It's only because like we can put Jalen Johnson at the small forward and put
Yep.
Cameron Boozer at the 4
That
and
can
have
that
that
that can work too. Mm-hmm. Yep.
and have
Yep.
that big ass lineup, like a monstrous lineup with athleticism and
Yeah.
scoring. One of the most light skinned teams
Oh
of
my
all
God, man.
time.
As a matter of fact, now
To
now
the
that I
point.
think about it though, you're actually right. If we actually went with that lineup, all five guys would be light skinned. Ain't that something? Mm, that's crazy work. That is crazy
For
work.
real, the
Yeah,
most
but
light
yeah,
skinned team
definitely,
of all
definitely, yeah,
time.
but definitely be a an enticing lineup because we know what JJ can do. At his position at the 4 spot, and you seen it what he did against the Nets, and even for this past season, as well, or even the season before that, just his ability to be a triple double threat on any given night. So for him to possibly move at the 3, that would be we would be a much tougher team to defend. So that would definitely bring a new dynamic to the team. So, but who knows? I think if we were to get Cam Boozer, I think that's an option that would could turn into a possibility.
Most definitely. And moving on to our last topic of the evening, the NBA Cup is upon us. Adam Silver's under some heat right now, but this is one of my most favorite times of the year, and it's not Christmas. I really did enjoy when he brought this to light because it gave a lot of teams, like even at that first year, back in 2023, it gave teams like the Detroit Pistons the ability to have like a playoff type of atmosphere again in their buildings. And I think it's been super dynamic the way they changed the courts. I really enjoy how they go out to Las Vegas. There's no NBA team in Las Vegas, so it really is a big festivity when they go out there for those championship games. Last year, we know our Atlanta Hawks went out there after beating the Knicks, but they lost to the Bucks, unfortunately, who went on to win the entire thing. It's the second time that Giannis has taken gold out of Trae Young's cabinet. Second time, most
Mm.
definitely. But yeah, man, I really love the addition of the NBA Cup. I think it's been phenomenal. I think the players actually try, opposed to like the All-Star game, where they just, they didn't really start trying until they put in that money bonus. a few years ago for the All-Star game. And I think for this, these players do really want to, because it's on their Wikipedia page. It's like real achievements, like NBA Cup MVP and stuff like that. So it's like real Hall of Fame achievements for some of these dudes, you know. And I think just being natural competitors, I do think they want to win this. And just going with the groups. Also, one of my favorite things about it too is how they group all the teams. We group phase does begin tomorrow. I guess I can go ahead and list off the teams or whatever for the East and the West. East Group A is Atlanta, Cleveland, Indiana,
Hold that,
Toronto.
hold that thought.
Mm.
Hold that thought. I got you.
Oh, word.
Let's make your life a little bit easier here.
Oh, where you got a graphic? Hell yeah, my man. For sure. I was about to get to it. Yeah, man. I guess if that's the case, and actually, like, Wiley, I'd actually like your opinion on this. If you'd like to come on camera for a second. Of course, you having watched the most basketball on this podcast, most definitely. I kind of want to start with you, Wiley, with your opinion, since you saw this come in and you've seen the NBA years prior. How did you feel about the inception of the NBA Cup? And do you think it has been good or bad for basketball?
I hate it. Get this participation dash goddamn shit out the way. Just play the fucking game. Play the game. This I felt like this from the jump. This just showed me, to include the All-Star game that you mentioned, why you have to put money up for the All-Star game for these players to play. Take your ass out there. This is a part of your job. Go out there and play the game. We're not telling you to fucking go all out in the All-Star game. Make it believable. Make it believable. With the Emirates Cup, I'm not a fan of it, just because, again, why is this something that you have to include to make your players play? Because that's essentially what this is. It's something to make these players take the fucking season seriously. Your players should be taking the season seriously, period. Again, this is your job. This is what you're supposed to do.
Right.
And now I got to create an incentive damn near at the very beginning of the season to make you play some shit that I'm paying you for. Like, again, to me, it's a participation trophy. I do not like it. I mean, does it make for better games? I guess only because the changing of the court draws the crowd's attention,
Right.
because something's going on because this court looks different. So let me tune in. So they got it right there. But as far as this shit, man, again, it's a participation trophy. It's an extra game that you end up playing that does not count. What's the point? Outside of the little bit of money that excuse me, that your superstars don't give a fuck about, but yeah, it means more to your 7 through 15, or 7 through 12 or 7 through 15 players. Other than that, motherfuckers don't care.
And I guess the last thing I will ask you, before I get to Garrett's opinion, of course, do you think this is going to be around come like 2050, 2060? Like, do you think this is here to stay?
I mean, it's gonna stay as long as it depends on who precedes Adam Silver and how this plays out as time goes. Of course, right now it's still fairly new. What we're 2-3 years into this.
It
So
started in
it's
23.
yeah, so we're still fairly new to it. I mean, yeah, it's here to stay as long as Adam Silver's in the building. And again, depending on who picks it up, who picks up the league after him, I mean, it may stay, it may not. Again, it really just depends on who his successor is moving forward. But we got time for that.
All right, then. All right. Well, all right, Garrett, how do you feel about the NBA Cup and what it's done for the league thus far?
Yeah, I mean, I think it has brought a new, element to the NBA with the, NBA Cup. I guess it allows other teams to compete for something because, of course, it's like the same thing with the NBA championship. There's only going to be one championship, but champion rather. But I think this, gives another element for other teams to compete for something if they can't compete for a championship. So I can understand it from that aspect. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I think this doesn't change the perception of others when it comes to what's more important. We know the the NBA finals is what people are really going to be more focused or intrigued upon. So I think the NBA Cup, like I said, I think it's good. I think this is more for like I said for other teams that they know they're not, a NBA champion containing team, but this could be something that those teams can, I guess, compete for something until they get to a point where they can make a deep playoff run to playoffs and potentially compete for a championship though. But I mean, like I said, I think it's been okay. It's not something that would make me like really excited, unless we win it. Of course, that'd be a different conversation, and we could have won it, last year, but like you said, the Bucks beat us, so hey, it's all good. But like I said, it's a new element to the NBA, but um, I guess they've been trying to they've been making a lot of changes to where it's more enticing. I should say. I will say the All Star format has. I think I wouldn't say it's better. In terms of like I would prefer the traditional All Star format where it's East versus West, but to have it where it's um you know I think it's World for versus US or
Which is
something like
team?
that
I mean,
though.
like, yeah, USA. Uh-huh.
Yeah, USA versus World. So I think that would definitely be a new element. I think that's something that can work for sure. So, seeing guys like Giannis play with Jokic and
Jokic and win.
It's
SGA.
been done before. Y'all know that,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
It's been
Okay. I
done
didn't know
before.
that.
Yeah, it's been done before, and this is what it looks like when you run out of ideas and you don't trust the product that you have,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and you don't trust the players that you have because now the players are being lackluster again. Like I said, putting money on the All Star game to convince these players to play in something that again that's a part of your job that you're already getting paid for. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, hey, I don't know, but I mean, if this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing. Again, it's just the fact that for like you said, for people like myself that have been watching the league for a while, it's like, okay, why are you bringing this back? Just stick to what worked in the beginning, like you said, which was East
Right.
versus West.
Yeah. Some things are not, meant to, be fixed. If it's not broken, then there's no need to, to touch it.
That's it.
But I get it. You want to be innovative. You want to try new things out, and I get it. But like I said, whatever's, making you money, then just, focus on that. I think if the NBA are going to, expand or make other changes, the only thing that I would definitely vouch for is to expand. Bring the
Yep.
Seattle SuperSonics back, or if Vegas just open up a team, I'll be open to that as well, or any other state that will be good for NBA teams, things of that nature. But like I said, with the All Star format, how it's going to look this year, I think it'll work. Um, but like I said, I think it'll be a little bit more exciting because you'll get to see other guys play with others, but um, they haven't played with before per se. But like I said, I think they should have just stick with the East versus West All Star format. But like I said, I think everything, how it is it's okay. But like I said, with the NBA Cup, like I said, I think that's just more so for other teams that can't compete for something. But we'll see how it goes. Like why they say it's still fresh, it's still new. So, it may grow on others later on down the road. But like I said, it's cool. So hopefully we'll win it this year. Something to be proud about. But we know how it goes. We'll see who you know goes to Vegas and see who wins it.
Yeah, man, and we know Trey Young likes big games. Hopefully, he's healthy enough to make it there. And yeah, man, like we will be following the NBA Cup throughout the tournament, of course. Like I said, I do like it. I do like the tournament. I think it, like I said, it brought a playoff-esque type of atmosphere to teams that hadn't even sniffed anything close to that. Like it gives the Charlotte Hornets like a festivity, like the Charlotte Hornets know when it comes April, know when it comes May. Like, I mean, there's no more basketball. So at least they
Yep.
get and even if it's in November, October, November, stuff like that, they get to like get that kind of atmosphere and stuff like that. So Utah Jazz fans and shit like that. So most definitely, I think it is here to stay. I agree with what Wiley said. Depends how the commissioner who comes after Adam Silver, depends what they want to do. But I do think it was a good idea when they added it. And I am a fan, most definitely. And I think they'll only try to spice it up even more as time goes on. And even what you said with the All-Star thing, look at what they did last year when they had like that miniature All-Star tournament. It was like different teams, and it was like Chuck's Rising Stars and Shaq's OGs. And like
Stop
it was
that
just
too. Go back to rookie sophomore. It works.
Yeah, that too. Like, yeah, I also, and yeah, like it's classic game, rookies versus sophomores, and most definitely, it's cool seeing how those like it. That's actually it's always been a good thing, man, because you get to literally see the direct comparison of one draft class to another, in an all star game type of format, and it is really cool, to see that. I've always missed the Rising Stars game, most definitely the rookie sophomore. Because I'll always be so busy on the first night All Star weekend, 'cause it's always a weeknight. But definitely want to try to catch it this week. I mean this year. And yeah, man, I think the season's in full swing. It's still early for any of these early ass reactions, any of these overreactions and shit like that. I just think people gotta take their time. I don't care how long you've been watching it. It's still the season just started. It takes time. People don't realize how many games the 82 games is. That's a lot of fucking games.
Yep.
Especially when you got travel and back to backs and I mean, seriously catching injuries and all that. But it was a good show, almost definitely. I know we glossed over just a little bit, but gotta give a shout out to the Chicago Bulls. They are 4-0. A lot of people didn't see that coming.
Turn me the
Like
fuck up, Bulls! Turn me the fuck up!
a
Turn
lot
me
of
up!
people, for real. A lot of people didn't see that coming. They look great, man. Josh Giddey's playing great. Kobe White is out and they're 4-0. So that lets you know, like this young team, of Ion Dosumu, like they're definitely getting better. Matas Buzelis, he's looking like year 2 is gonna be a big year for him. Just with the increased usage, like just getting more acclimated to the league. And he's from Chicago, so I can only imagine how many number 14s you're seeing in the United Center right now. So they're looking good, man. It's definitely had to give them their flowers before we close out the show, because they have been the biggest surprise to begin the NBA season. Of course, we saw how Orlando was like. I think 2 years ago, Orlando was white hot, and they slowed down as well. And of course, they're a solidified team now as well. But I think Chicago, with no quote unquote star talent on the team, I think they've definitely exceeded expectations. Most definitely, they're showing what good ball movement with good coaching and good team defense and communication. They're showing what that can get you. And I get it; it's only 4 games right now, but I mean, it's gonna be hard to like. I don't think they just go 4-4, like lose the next 4 games. And nah, they might be showing that they might be a play-in team this year. At least that, like a sleeper 6 seed, 7. Like you never know. So um you never know who could take that next step like on the Bulls. So I like Billy Donovan, the 2-time NCAA champion. So yeah, man, I had to give them their credit. Shout out to Jay. Most definitely. We're gonna beat that ass on December 21st when we play y'all again. And let's see how that goes, most definitely. But y'all have a blessed night. Thank y'all so much for joining us. And you got anything else, Garrett? That's it for me.
Yeah, thank you all for tuning into the show. Be sure to like, subscribe and share, and of course, comment on the show. And yeah, so we always appreciate your love and support. And of course, we're gonna, continue to do this, throughout the season, and it's only going to get better from here. So, like I said, thank you guys for tuning in with us, and we see you guys next time.
Most definitely. God bless.
One band, one sound. They gave me my theme music.